Mr. Riaz Haq, who has been in the Silicon Valley for more than 10 years and he has a deep grasp of technology scene. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Riaz Haq to say a few words about Pakistani technologists in this area. Mr. Riaz Haq.
Distinguished guests and fellow Pakistani Americans, Assalamu alaikum. This day today, August 14th, is Pakistan's Independence Day. It did not exist in reality before August 14, 1947. It existed only in the imagination and the dreams of the founders, the people who sought this as a new independent nation. August 14th is also an important date in American history. It's the day the Japanese surrendered to the American forces and the Second World War ended. Both of these events, the end of the Second World War and the creation of Pakistan, were very bloody events. There were a lot of bloodshed in the process of both of these. So these dates are written in blood in both the US and the Pakistani history. So it is a time for celebration for us. It's the day that Pakistan became a new independent nation. But it is also a time for reflection for us as to the sacrifices that were made to bring this country into existence. It's also an important day for reflection for the Americans because they ended a very long and bloody World War. And it's the day that really, in reality, if you see the Americans' rise to superpower status, in fact, began on this particular day. Let me turn to the topic that I've been given to speak on, and that is about Pakistani Americans in Silicon Valley. Let me start with a personal story. I have been here in this valley for 35 years. When I first arrived, I went to work for Intel. There were very few Pakistanis. In fact, there were very few non-whites in the valley. I was one of the designers of an Intel processor called the 80386, 32-bit processor. That was the first 32-bit processor that was used in the IBM PC. And there was a picture taken by PC Magazine that was published in the magazine with the designers of the 386. There were 7 of us. Out of the 7, there were 6 whites, and I was the only non-white person in that group. It's been dramatic changes since that time. Now, I've seen more recent data that says that the minorities are majority in Silicon Valley. Not only in the valley itself, as a general population, but at major high-tech companies, there are more minorities than there are whites working in the technology area. Now, these people have contributed greatly to the development of technology, to putting this valley on the map of the world as a high-tech capital. And if you look at the kind of people that we have, a number of Pakistanis have founded companies that have gone on to become public. They have created new technologies. There are several names that come to mind. There's Align Technology. It was the first company to use 3D imaging, 3D computer modeling in orthodontics. Then there is another company called Chegg. Chegg is a textbook, online textbook rental and exchange company. It's been created, founded by a Pakistani, now a public company, trades on public stock exchanges. Cavium is another one. It's a semiconductor company that makes security processors. And there is FireEye, that's a more recent one that actually works on cloud security. And these are just a few names that come to mind. These are public companies. In addition, there are probably dozens, if not hundreds of companies that have been founded by Pakistanis that have actually been acquired by other larger companies for their technology. So Pakistanis have been making a huge contribution. One of the ways I look at it, Asghar Abu Bakr, who just spoke prior to my coming here, Asghar was one of the few Pakistanis in the Valley when I came to this area. He also worked for Intel, so we both were at the same company. And there was probably a few others. Javed Abbal was one of the people that worked with us. One of the things that was happening at the time was that people were just beginning to come, more and more people. And actually, more recently, there's been a very large number of Pakistanis who have come to this valley and have been contributing to it. So this thing called Moore's Law, I don't know how many of you are familiar with it. Moore's Law is a law that was created by Intel's founder, Gordon Moore. And it basically says that transistor densities on a chip double every 18 months. So now, what does it mean, the transistor densities? If you can put more and more transistors on a chip, you basically make them smarter. They can do more, they can compute more. And as a result of it, what has happened is that there's a lot of work that's going on that is now called, essentially enabling the second machine revolution. And Pakistani Americans are at the forefront of this particular machine revolution. Machines are becoming smarter because there's more artificial intelligence software being used in them. There's all kinds of new robotics being created. There are machines that can make hamburgers from fresh meat, really succulent, juicy hamburgers. There are machines that write news stories. Some of the news media are actually starting to use these. There are machines that can kill people. You know about that, right? Pakistan has been one of the victims of these machines. And there are so many other kinds of machines. They do good things, they do bad things. They create, obviously they create a lot of opportunities, but they also create a lot of challenges. So, they can do a lot of good, and they can also do a lot of bad. And one of the bads that concerns me is that some of the jobs that might be eliminated as a result of machines becoming smarter and smarter. They can see better, they can hear better, they can do things better than humans in a lot of different fields. So one of the things that I'm hoping that Pakistan will be offering, and some of the Pakistani Americans along with others, would become thought leaders in not only developing the technology to create the opportunity, but also in dealing with the challenges that this particular technology creates. So thank you very much for listening to me. Before I end, I'm going to say Pakistan. I want you all to say very loudly, Zindabad. I say Pakistan! Zindabad! Pakistan! Zindabad! Thank you.
Say what it means in English.
Yeah, Pakistan Zindabad means long live Pakistan.